You know, I'm going to give you a history lesson.
We got some dumbass motherfuckers floating around this country.
Stop laughing! And when I do, start.
Also, y'all did some nasty-ass jokes on my ass, too.
Funny jokes and unfunny jokes come out of the same birth.
You f***ing guys are unbelievable.
Why are you laughing?
Evening, everybody, to another episode of Why Are You Laughing? A History of Comedy podcast. And today, I am pleased to introduce to you the history of the Legion of Skanks, the most offensive podcast on earth, or so they call themselves. A couple disclaimers right out of the gate. Number one, I am not gay Blind Mike. My name is Blind Mike. I was first. I know there's going to be confusion with the way the algorithm works, but I was first. He's gay Blind Mike because I was there first. So let's all just move past it. I'm not the guy that works for Gas Digital. Different blind guy. My name is also Mike. Secondly, this is, we've done a few of these with podcasts before. We've done Cumtown and the Joe Rogan Experience. And this is sort of a cursory history of the Legion of Skanks. I've been a Legion of Skanks fan for about 10 years now. But this is for kind of beginners, sort of like we did with Opie and Anthony, where kind of a beginner's guide to Legion of Skanks. If you're not too familiar with their history or thinking about getting into the podcast or thinking about going back into the archives, these are some places you could start. You know, I like to say with these episodes, it's either a fun walk down memory lane or an introduction to things you guys can look into on your own. So shout out to Legion of Skanks. We'll also talk about Skankfest, which I will be attending. Part of the reason I wanted to do this episode now is because Skankfest is just a couple weeks away. So excited for that. And I'm also excited to tell you to go to blindmike.net. That is where all the links for not just this program, but the Blind Mike Project, which is live every Sunday at 10 a.m. We will also be doing on Patreon. If you want to become a member on Patreon or YouTube, Craig and I will be watching Brian Callen's new special, which it's getting less than stellar reviews. So we want to see what all the hype is about. We'll check it out. I'm told it's a prequel to Gringo Poppy, which is interesting.
Oh, good.
It's very exciting. Yeah. I don't know how that's going to work with a comedy special, a prequel, but that's what people are calling it. So, excited to check that out for members. If you want to become a member on YouTube or Patreon, you can do that for as little as $5 a month. You get early access and bonus content. You could have had this early. Another note I should make for Why You Laughing fans, I think the podcast is going to go back to premiering Wednesday nights on YouTube, and the podcast is dropping Thursday. It's just easier with the way we release stuff because Blind Mike Project is Sunday when we put clips up the next day. So I figured that would just be easier. So if you're looking for it on YouTube, we're going back to Wednesday nights. So just keep that in mind. And that's news to Craig as well. So jot that down in your notes.
Jotted.
Perfect. And who are these socials links are there as well. A show I do with Carl from WATP. So check all that stuff out, blindmike.net. We appreciate you guys. And support Craig at verygoodshow.org. You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Blind Mike, who used to work for Barstool. Blind Mike, go watch Blind Mike Geary's
Calm
podcast.
down.
Blind Mike.
It's enough, Lewis. I know we're old friends, but everyone thinks I'm ripping off. My favorite ever is someone goes, "Hey, why would you steal the name of gay Blind Mike?" Which is an odd assumption. And I go, "Oh, no, I was actually first. I used to work for Barstool, blah, blah, blah." And they replied, "Still pretty gay." And I was like, yeah, I can't argue there.
That's a great point.
I can't argue that. That's the other thing. The other disclaimer I should make is much like Cumtown, I am doing this for an audience that will surely just call this gay. And I'm well aware of that. So tell us how gay we are in the comments. It helps the algorithm. We appreciate you guys.
See how I got lumped in there?
Yes.
Tell us how gay we are.
Yeah, we're both terribly gay.
Yes.
And let us know that. All right, let's get into it. So, like I said, if you're a Skanks fan, this is probably a story you've heard 10 million times. These boys, as much as I love them, do tend to repeat themselves here and there. But this is how the name Legion of Skanks came about.
And the special.
When did you guys name it Legion of Skanks?
Me and Big Jay. Okay. So Big Jay would constantly cheat on his wife. And it was like a regular occurrence. And she knew it and everyone knew it. And one time we were there and we were hanging out and we were about to leave. There were in an argument. And she's like, "Fuck you. Why don't you go hang out with your Legion of Skanks?" And me and Big Jay, we were both playing Guitar Hero at the time. That was like a big game at the time. We both looked at each other. We were like, Guitar Hero name. And that was what we named our band initially in Guitar Hero, was Legion of Skanks.
It's also what they named their TV pilot, which they did do a reading of during the pandemic, I think, for Comedy Central, actually. It was, as they called it, basically just a ripoff of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But
Yeah.
a very funny reading that they did. And Legion of Skanks, the reason I like that name, I think it's been bad for them in the algorithm. In fact, as we're recording this, they're even doing a bit where they've gotten rid of the Skanks name and cleaning it up for TBS. It's a whole thing, a whole saga they've been going through. But the reason I like the name Legion of Skanks is because you would think it tells everyone who they are immediately. You would think people would feel very foolish writing, I was offended by what I heard on the Legion of Skanks podcast, right. Particularly when they brand themselves the most offensive podcast on earth. And the reason they did that, not because they're trying to be edgelords or anything like that, even though people will accuse them of that. But I also think that's a good disclaimer to be like, hey, Seth Simons and Anthony Jeselnik, shut the fuck up. You know, like we tell you who we are immediately. You can't really get offended. You can't use the excuse of I was flicking around my radio dial and my children were in the car. You know, there's no way you could find the Legion of Skanks podcast and not have a pretty good idea of what they stand for right out of the gate with that title.
Next, we have, unfortunately, their best moment ever, which was like 10 episodes in.
I think we're going to highlight some moments that could rival this, but this definitely did cement them as a podcast. It's what they all point to as the moment where they knew they had something. So the podcast started in 2011. If you go back and listen to episode 1, I believe it's episode 1 that they're talking about the Jerry Sandusky news just broke. I think that's the first news story they ever talk about on Legion of Skanks. And, you know, it took them a while to find their groove. They were recording out of Lewis's house most of the time, or Lewis's apartment, I should say. His girlfriend was pregnant with baby James, and it said they say it took them a while to, you know, kind of find their groove and really figure out what they were as a podcast. If you remember back then, people that started podcasts were just like, all right, let's just turn on the microphones. And that didn't work for a lot of people. A lot of people didn't stand the test of time. It's very rare to be a Legion of Skanks, Matt and Shane, Come Town, where it's like, you know, guys just hanging out, shooting the shit, and it's actually something interesting that you want to tune into week after week after week, never mind for 14 years. But Legion of Skanks, Big Jay, Louis J. Gomez, and Dave Smith had that chemistry, and this was the first real example of that kind of shining through, is when they read a poem that Louis wrote to a former girlfriend of his.
I knew you were innocent. I knew you were young. I knew you were beautiful. I knew you were fun.
Jay, just say it. Okay. All right. Jesus Christ. Just fucking
Oh, fuck. All right. Okay. You knew. You knew I had problems. You knew I was fat. But you took a chance, and I thank you for that. Oh, Beatrice is laughing in the other room like she's watching Def Jam. Oh, this chick really broke you down, dude. Oh, fuck. I can't breathe. Oh, there's tears running down my face.
See, guys?
Magic. All right. Well, the reason that poem was so great is because, as you heard in that awesome clip we just played, the reason the poem was so great is that it showed like their genuine friendship, their bond, but also busting Lewis's balls relentlessly, which is what the podcast kind of became. Like, I really feel that Louis J. Gomez is the central character, the main character of the Legion of Skanks. To me, is absolutely Lewis, because so much of it hinges on incidents that he had, his life, his anger, his feuds. Like, really, a lot of it revolves around that, even just in the moment, like him getting mad at producers or mad at the audience or whatever. like a lot of it is his brain. Now, Jay obviously plays a major role, being at the time definitely the most successful one. But like in comedy, for sure, the most respected comedian of the three. And like Jay off the cuff is very funny. He's a good broadcaster and everything. So he obviously plays a pivotal role. And I think Dave gets a bad rap. Like if you look at their reputations now, if you look at the comments, a lot of them will be shitting on Dave. I think Dave's an integral part of that show. Like I think a lot of his wise ass responses and quips like genuinely make me laugh, and also kind of ground Lewis a little bit and add, I don't know, a nice ambiance to the show, for lack of a better term. But Lewis certainly is the central figure. Sorry, go ahead, Craig.
I was going to say, if you look at it now, Dave is arguably the most successful of the three.
I don't know that it's arguable. Like successful is probably Dave. I don't know about in comedy, because
Definitely
a lot of his success comes in the political world. Most of it comes in the political world. But yeah, if you're measuring monetarily, he's probably the most successful.
Jay is definitely the most successful in comedy and most respected. I don't think that's a question, but
I think Lewis is a very important figure in comedy too. We'll talk about that, particularly when it comes to like Skankfest and things like that. But I think Lewis has really also come into his own as well. And this will, I think by the time this is out for the public, Lewis's new special should be out. I don't know how the recording of the special was, but I saw him here in Boston a few months ago, and he's definitely progressed. He's made the biggest progression as a comic. Like if you watch him as a comedian 5 or 10 years ago and watch him now, I think it's such a massive improvement to me. So it's cool. That's the thing Lewis mentions all the time, is like, if you were listening to the Poem episode when it came out, you watch these guys grow up, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were all just degenerates, potheads, and pieces of shit 15 years ago. Now, Dave Smith is an important political figure. You know, Lewis is a father. Like they've all changed. Like Big Jay has been working like a working broadcaster for a decade at Sirius XM.
Yeah.
So like their lives have changed so drastically in that 10 years.
Let's get into Lewis beefs.
Yeah, so this is an important part of the Legion of Skanks, is Lewis being unhinged. That is usually what drives the content. They will be very topical, and they'll talk about news stories and things like that. But I think what fuels the show and makes it unique are Lewis's gripes.
Did you finally go though?
No, we have to go up to Rockland County in the Palisades.
So this is I should set this up. Sorry. He emailed a Build-A-Bear workshop because him and his son went to Build-A-Bear and they were closed. And Stavros Halkias, Nick Mullen, and Anthony Cumia, which we'll talk about the lineups they had in the early days soon too. But Stavros, Nick, and Anthony are on the show reacting to Lewis having an issue with Build-A-Bear being closed.
Did you finally go though?
No, we have to go up to Rockland County in the Palisades Center Mall and go to Build-A-Bear.
Just wait till the Herald Square one is open.
No, it's not. No, it's closed for life.
Oh, it's closed forever.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't give a fuck then. I didn't know that part.
Yeah, everybody lost their job. This wasn't like a
right?
Some fucking, no, you're an awful person.
We're living here at Build-A-Bear. Closing all the factories. And there he is. No, open it back up. I need some iron, coke, chromium, and steel.
Oh, fuck me. Fuck me.
Jesus, they closed the whole place down. People are devastated.
Who
are you writing to? There it is.
They didn't respond because there's no office. There's no back office to respond.
There's no one to even respond to. Your message is going to an empty Cat 5 fucking wall thing, just falling out onto the floor.
So Lewis is a pretty unique role, as that clip I think is a good representation of, is that he kind of runs the show and chooses a lot of what they talk about and comes up with ideas, but he's also a great punching bag. Like the idea of like, you know, an alpha, for lack of a better term, whatever you want to call Lewis's like personality type, for him to come in and get mocked roundly at a story he was like really angry about, that is a skill. And it's something like Opie from Opie and Anthony doesn't have. And it's why Opie's a lolcow now, is because he was a guy that would shut down. If you ever turned it on him and made fun of him, he would shut that down. I think Howard Stern was the same way, where if you really went as hard at Howard Stern as he went at other people, he would shut that down. And also, like, I think in Howard and Opie's cases, like, hold a vendetta against you for years and try to ruin you. Lewis is the opposite. You can make fun of Lewis mercilessly, and he does not care and usually laughs along and becomes part of the bit. So I think also that panel of Stavros, Nick, and Anthony, who Stavros and Nick were virtually nobodies when this episode came out. The lineups that they had back then, that just no one knew who the fuck they were in the basement of the creek in the cave. I mean, like, Mullen was on all the time, Tim Dillon, Shane Gillis, like the list of the world's biggest comedians. We have a clip of Nate Bargatze soon.
Right now.
Yeah, just like arguing with Lewis. Like, these lineups were unbelievable at that time. And you could just walk in to a half open mic, half Mexican restaurant and just go down to the basement and smoke weed with these guys every week. So that's the location is another thing I should mention. We'll talk about that a lot more later, but they went from Lewis's apartment to eventually the Creek in the Cave, which was run by Rebecca Trent, who is now a co-owner of Skankfest and moved the Creek in the Cave down to Austin, Texas. And they would have them just in the basement of the Creek, and fans could go watch, which at that time, 2013, 14, 15, that was a really unique experience. Like, people weren't really doing that. I think Kill Tony had started as well, but Kill Tony isn't a podcast. Like, it is a podcast, but it's also not. Like, the fact that it's kind of a TV show now makes sense given the format of that show. Legion of Skanks is just a podcast that was doing it live every week. And while I don't think it's necessary, like, I think the podcast still would have gotten big if they were just in a studio wherever. But I do think that adds a huge element, like having the live audience there and having that reaction and spontaneity that just happens on a weekly basis. I think that's a massive part of the Legion of Skanks. You'll even hear in a lot of these clips. I think the audience reaction and participation adds a big factor. And one other thing I should mention while I think of it, with Anthony being there, is when Anthony started Compound Media in 2014, about a year in, or maybe even less than a year. I think less than a year. Actually, might have only been a few months if I remember right. Anthony started having all these guys on: Big Jay, Lewis, Dave Smith, and he had them on when the show was still at Anthony's house. And then eventually, once they got the studio in New York, and Anthony started adding more shows like Gavin McGinnis, Legion of Skanks was the first show that what became known as Compound Media brought on. And to me, that's a very interesting fork in the road in Anthony's career. He kind of ended up, he ended up going much more political. Yeah. And is in the world of, like, literally, he does a show on WABC, a political news talk station. Anthony had Legion of Skanks and Shane Gillis and Tommy Pope doing shows on his network. Like, if he went the route of comedy, I think that could have been very interesting. Now, completely being behind a paywall probably would have been a problem, which the Legion of Skanks were smart to keep one episode free, one episode paywalled when they were with Anthony. But that's an interesting time in Anthony's career where he definitely could have been the breeding ground for a lot of these young podcasts. And Legion of Skanks was one that definitely benefited from being on there, because in the Cumtown episode we talked a lot about how they're kind of the next generation Opie and Anthony. That's how a lot of people attribute them. Like the remnants of the O&A subreddit moved on to Cumtown. I think Legion of Skanks is a much more similar show. When you talk about the vibe of Legion of Skanks and like, the idea that it's a hang and having other comics in and stuff like that, to me, Legion of Skanks reminds me much more of Opie and Anthony than Cumtown does. When Cumtown is kind of just like a look inside Nick Mullen's brain, where as a show format, Legion of Skanks reminds me a lot more of O&A.
Definitely. But next we have Nate Bargatze and talking about the Go Mites.
Yeah, so the Go Mites are another key factor. This is a Legion of Skanks episode, but it's really an homage to Louis J. Gomez, and not just because he's been nice to me, you know?
That's right.
And by that, I fucked up and I got a ticket to the wrong airport.
Lewis,
so
I understand it's a solution, but I think it's weird to fucking source it to the fan. I would have paid a
2-hour car ride?
All right, hold on. Can I just stop? Just right there. Lewis, you can't say I stand by it. I fucked up by going to the wrong airport. That is a given. That's not an admission.
No,
it's not like all right, I will admit.
You're cutting me off.
Lewis, if I can clear this up. Lewis just Googled Ohio airport, and he flew to an airport in Ohio. Turns out it was the wrong one. When he was opening for Nate Bargatze. How weird is that Louis J. Gomez was opening for Nate Bargatze at the time? And so Louis flew to the wrong airport and just put out on whatever platform it was at the time, Twitter or Facebook. He's like, "Hey, Gomites, I need a ride 2 hours to Nate Bargatze's gig in Cleveland or Cincinnati, wherever it was." And he just got a ride from a fan. And they're like, "What are you, fucking nuts? Like, that's a crazy thing to do."
Cut you off, Jay did.
I'm,
then I jumped
I'm
in.
standing by the fact that I wrote on Facebook, "Come see me feature for Nate Bargatze." What if they don't know you? I'm putting it out specifically to my fan
Thank
base.
you. I need your help. That's what you think. You think I need your help.
Ride, you idiot.
You would think me doing like anything with you would be more important. No,
I need a ride. It had nothing to do with you. So I said, "Hey, Gomites, not fucking Bargatze cats or whatever they're called."
Lewis, you can't say that when you're seriously in an angry
it's
voice.
so douchey.
So I can't reach out and go,
Dude.
"Hey, Gomites, let's up. It's your leader.
Gomites,
Louis
four.
J. Gomez."
I wasn't talking to the
Gomites, four.
Bargatzes. I was talking to the Gomites.
I know most of you are clamoring to spend time with your leader, Louis J. Gomez.
Players
Oh my God.
Your leader has made a little mistake. He is flying to another part of Ohio that is not the same as the Ohio as the Bargatze.
While I was writing the Gomite manifesto, I may have overlooked a few details, such as which airport I was supposed to land at.
You know how busy I am.
We need you to rally around me.
Turns out there are multiple destinations in the state of Ohio.
Apparently, Ohio is not a city, and I learned that today.
And at that table, oddly enough, right at that moment, Nate Bargatze and Gino Bisconti's careers talked, and they said, "All right, you go that way, and I'll go this way." What complete opposite ends of the comedy spectrum at that table.
Yeah.
But it's funny to hear Nate be like, "Oh yeah, I really need your help," and then look where he is now.
It's all because of Lewis.
$80 million a year, thanks to Lewis inspiring him.
That's right.
Yeah, but Lewis' voice is another thing that that drives this show. Also,
it's the best.
The Lewis voice paints such a great picture of this this Neanderthal that they're making fun of. And there's so many great instances that we could have sat here all day. We'll save it for a part 2. We could do a part 2 on just Lewis beefs. Because what I was looking for, and I didn't want to steal from Gas Digital, so unfortunately this clip wasn't available on YouTube, but I was looking for Lewis's dog ran away. Sport, shout out Sport, rest in peace. And
do it for Sport.
Yes. And you guys remember from the clip in the poem we played. That was so great.
That's right.
But Sport ran away, and a good Samaritan found Sport, called Lewis, found the number he was supposed to call, contacted Lewis, and Lewis ended up getting in a fight with that guy, and it almost came to blows. So many great. We did Fez Whatley fights and feuds. I think Louis J. Gomez fights and feuds would also be a great episode.
Definitely. But speaking of feuds, we go right into Kurt Metzger.
Okay. Oh, well, we'll get there in a second. One more thing while I'm thinking of Nate Bargatze. Another pivotal moment in Skanks history is, it's just the idea that this happened is interesting, that Lewis was opening for Nate at any time. But it was this, they were this connected, where not only is Nate James Gomez's godfather, but Lewis was going to move to Los Angeles with Nate. Lewis was going to move out to Los Angeles, and I don't know if he was going to become a clean comic necessarily, but he was going to give it a go in Los Angeles, and Bob Kelly convinced him to stay. And weirdly, this is a weird piece of Skanks trivia. Do you know who was going to replace Louis J. Gomez, Craig?
If I was to guess, I would say Dan Soder.
You would think, right?
Yeah.
Zach Amico, maybe? No. Yeah. Mike Fanoia.
Really?
Yes, very odd choice.
Yeah.
As they say, Big Jay just replaced one bald guy with another bald guy. That's how his mind works, I guess.
I actually vaguely remember this now.
Yeah. Very, very strange choice. I don't know what. I think Dave would have been gone 2 months later, roughly.
Definitely.
But yeah, thank goodness that didn't happen, because we wouldn't have had Legion of Skanks.
But Lewis versus Kurt.
Oh yeah, right. So speaking of fights, this is what I think the live aspect of this adds as well, because Lewis got all worked up talking about him and Kurt Metzger were going back and forth. Kurt was very disrespectful to Lewis and Dave, kind of looked at them. They never outgrew the role of like open micer or opener to him. Like he always kind of looked down at them at this point. And Lewis had finally had enough, and they were really like gassing his tires. They were or pumping his tires. Gassing his tires makes no sense, but they were really pumping him up during this time. He was getting all amped up, and it resulted in this at the Comedy Store.
I don't know why you'd have a thing to take me down, but I didn't have a rivalry with you.
Because you're a cunt and you are.
What?
You talk down to people and you don't even fucking realize.
Well, Lewis, that's because you're incredibly stupid. I'm sorry. I lose my patience.
Well, you're a fucking.
You know what? Wait, hold on. Wait.
I'm probably gonna smack the shit out of you.
Let me read the fucking text though. Let me read Lewis's text. I don't just want to call him stupid. I want to back it up.
Jay, you're right. This was the best way to handle it.
This was not.
Oh, by the way, it was the second time Lewis had done that. I let it go the first time, which was at the roast battle.
Oh, did you let it go? You fucking bitch.
Yes,
You don't
I
let
did.
shit go. I let you go.
Lewis, sit
faggot.
down.
How about that? I let you
Lewis,
go.
sit down.
Lewis, sit down, dude.
Well, what are you gonna do?
Sit down.
Well, why don't you make a move and see what I'll do?
Dude.
Do something, bitch. Do something. What's up, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
It was
Go, Tony.
Tony Hinchcliffe you heard in the background there.
It only hit him.
And at Skankfest, I believe when it was at the Brooklyn Bazaar, Dan Soder wore a shirt memorializing that exact moment. The photo of that moment of Lewis smacking the cup or whatever the fuck he's doing there.
Throwing
the cup at Kurt. Soder has the image of that on a t-shirt that he wore to Skankfest, which is very funny. I'm realizing now, because I know what clips are coming up, I think we may have just done the Lewis Fights and Feuds episode. We have at least one more like that.
Do we?
Yeah, but again, that I think is what the live element needs, because say that happens in studio, they get into a fight like that. Like if it's real like that, there's a chance. I mean, these guys might just post it because they know it's good content. But a lot of shows would just be like, hey, that was ugly. I feel bad. Because they're friends now. Kurt ended up doing a show on Gas Digital. And so, like, a lot of people would have scrapped it. I think that's what part of the thing that the live element adds is, like, you never know what you're going to get. And it was streamed live on Gas Digital for a long time. I think technology-wise, they realized it would be better to pre-record. So now they're live at the Stand in New York on Monday nights and posted on Gas Digital on Tuesdays. But it was live for a long time, which is another sort of unique thing they were doing in podcast that wasn't done a lot back then. I'm talking like, 2015-ish. That wasn't done a ton. Certainly not nearly as much as it is now with YouTube Live and everything. One thing I should mention again before we move on is I mentioned Gas Digital, which once they asked for a raise from Compound Media, and Keith the Cop, who is not known as one of the great talent scouts of all time, Keith the Cop offered them a pittance, apparently. So they decided that Compound Media wasn't the place to stay anymore. I think also at that time, too, they were paying Gavin McGinnis a bunch of money. So, other shows suffered for that reason. So unless you're Gino Bisconti, you say, I think we can make more elsewhere. And that's why Lewis said, hey, they're making a paywall that they control. Why wouldn't I just do the same? And he and Ralph Sutton started Gas Digital, Gomez and Sutton Digital.
Next we have Dave versus Jim Norton.
This is what I wanted to include just because I think a lot of people forget about it.
I don't.
It's an instance. I like Dave Smith a lot, but I figured we'd throw a couple crumbs to the people that don't like Dave Smith. And remember a time where he got destroyed by Jim Norton. So I'll just set it up real quick. Lauren, Dave's now wife, used to be a podcast producer. She used to produce YKWd and eventually became Chip Chipperson's producer. And then left under kind of weird circumstances. Like she became a big part of that show and just kind of abruptly left. And so Norton talked about that on the podcast and Dave kind of mocked it. And then Jim responded and really, I was going to say unlike Jim, but when Jim gets pissed, he gets pissed. You know, like it's rare. He's particularly these days, he's pretty mild mannered. But if you set him off, he will really sink his teeth in, and that's what he did with Dave Smith.
Like, you didn't return Norton's text, whatever, why'd you make Lauren leave? You know, a lot of shit like this. And I just figured it's kind of like, you know, just fans being fans. Lauren left. And then Lewis, when I saw him, was like, oh, yeah, I think like Jim said something about it. And I was just, 100% certain. Like, I would have bet money that it was like when he was joking in some way. Like, when he said, like, oh, Dave didn't return my text, I figured it was in the context of like, son of a bitch can't even get a text return from Dave. You know, like,
that would have been a great joke. I should have said that. Son of a bitch can't even get a text return from Dave. Huh. That would have been a hilarious one. Why did I think of that?
I don't think it would have lit the room on fire.
That would have been a fucking killer. I should have said that.
You think so?
Fuck yes. Holy shit. Fucking Chip Smith. Fucking return my text. Oh, now.
Me and Lauren listened to it together last night. He couldn't have been more serious. He was like having an inside the actor studio moment about Chip Chipperson. Yeah. Like, you know, Chip was angry that day. Like, it's like, I was like, wait.
Is it weird that I was having an inside the actors studio moment about a person that doesn't exist that is more popular than anything you've done?
Oh boy. Yeah, of course not. It's a character.
Yeah. So I was discussing it not as an inside the studio moment, but kind of just as a person who's like, this is my job.
Right.
And I was trying to figure out why somebody was leaving the job that I do. I was trying to be professional about it. I know it's like cool to roll up your shirt sleeves and go like, I don't care what this is, but you know.
So Norton really fucking destroyed him. I will say, to Dave's credit, that's not true anymore. Dave has surpassed Chip Chipperson.
Yes, he.
Yes. So shout out to Dave for that. But the reason I wanted to play that is I want to say that's 2016 because I feel like I remember listening to that.
It's crazy because it feels like it was like a year ago.
I feel like I remember listening to that in the Barstool office, which is kind of crazy. But I could be, my timeline could be off on that.
I don't think it was that long ago.
Yeah, maybe a little more recent because I don't know that Jim and Sam had started yet then. So my timeline might be off. But point being, the reason I played that clip is that I think them kind of being in that world was a big deal for those guys because, like I said, like they really were to me the second coming of Opie and Anthony or whatever you want to call them. Like they were a place for that audience to go. So kind of interacting with Cumia and Norton, even if it was negative at times, I think that was a big deal. And it shows a level, like the fact that they handled that well. Like I think Norton and Dave are fine now. Norton's been on the podcast. There's been no issues or anything. So it seems like all water under the bridge. The fact that they could handle that stuff fine, I think moments like that rally a fan base around you, like Lewis getting into a fight with Kirk or who was the girl? God damn it. Leave it in the comments. You guys will know who I'm talking about. The girl that bought skankfest.com. I'm blanking on her name. I want to say Nicole Barber. Damn. Nicole Arbor, maybe?
Oh, the Canadian comic?
I forget what I forget exactly. I should have had it just popped in my head just now. Otherwise, I would have had the clip of it.
Nicole Arbor did beef with Legion of Skanks though at one point.
That's what I'm thinking of then. So like little feuds like that are things that rally a fan base around them. They don't do it as much now because I think they're all just older with stuff going on. But like the guys we fucked, like they called Lewis a bad father, and Lewis and Dave made a sketch impersonating them that was hilarious. And that type of shit like tells your audience who you are and kind of gives them something to rally around. So all that stuff back in the day was really foundational for the show.
Lauren left October 12th, 2017.
All right, I was off. I don't know why I remember it that way.
That's a lot longer ago than I would have guessed.
Yeah.
But next we have penis size.
Okay, so these are also great live moments that you get with guests, and I see now when Brendan Sagalow is walking through Skankfest to this day, people will chant 4 at him. Let's find out why.
You're gonna feel me on this because there's no way you have a big dick, Brian.
I have a good size.
Wow, right to your fucking face.
Especially not soft. There's no way.
You already went from good to fine.
No, you don't. It's all right.
Is it 7?
No, 7.
Then you're with us.
7. You're with us.
What the fuck?
Do I have a small penis?
Is it? Hold on, you think it's 7 and then us? No, there's also 6.
It's 5.5.
Those people feel just like us.
No, it's 5.5.
You think 6.5 us feel like
I'm not, who cares what dick you have, but I'm not sitting on you.
My dick
but
fluctuates.
you did start by saying I have a good dick. Immediately said I have a fine dick. Then Lewis went, is it 7? And you gave him like a 7. Get the fuck out of here.
7 is weird.
But 7 shouldn't be
If I do
out
it
of
twice,
reach.
it's
Well, you're talking to an over 7 over here.
I'm like a 3 or 4.
You're a 3?
No.
That's like a comical joke.
My dick fluctuates. Sometimes it's a fucking
Wait,
turtle
hard?
shell.
No.
No, hard. It's like
Your
4.
dick is 4 inches.
What you selling us on soft?
Shut the fuck up, dude.
No one says, what's your dick?
Shut the fuck up, dude.
Any ladies
If
in
your
here?
dick's 4 inches hard, I'll put my cock out tonight right here.
Nobody says
No
one admits that.
So then he goes through this whole thing where he doesn't know how much 4 inches is. That's Brendan Sagalow, by the way. Shout out to Sag Daddy. He doesn't know how much 4 inches is, and he's like, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And so they get him to call his girlfriend live on air. And this is what I'm talking about with great live reactions like this.
Okay.
Hey, baby.
Say nothing else.
I'm saying nothing else.
Shut up.
How many?
No. Say, be completely honest.
Tell you're on, tell
Say,
us on the
tell her
air.
to be
You're
complete-
on the air.
And tell her to be completely honest.
You got to be completely honest.
You're alive.
How many inches?
How many inches do you think the size of my penis is hard?
4.
God, I hope he married her.
He didn't. They broke up.
That's a shame.
But yeah, and unfortunately, poor Brendan. I guess there are worse nicknames you could have, but the name 4 is still chanted through the hallowed halls of Skankfest to this day as he walks through.
That's hilarious.
That is another thing they did. Not just not just having comics on that blew up, but those two are perfect examples. Like Colin Terrell, Brendan Sagalow, like they had these guys that were able to build an audience from Skankfest fans that fit perfectly for that show. Like, you know, they were able to introduce comics to an audience that cared a lot about comedy, because like what Skankfest is, like they have or what Legion of Skanks are, like their fans have a certain reputation, but like when you meet them, and this often happens, is like they end up being the sweetest people you've ever met. Like they're fantastic. They just happen to love comedy, and some of them think they're funnier than they are. So online, some of them come off as assholes. But it really is like a great environment for comedy, and I think they took that seriously for a while.
Another thing they take serious is the white supremacy podcast.
Okay, yeah. So this is what I was talking about with more Lewis feuds. But odd little note of history. Danny Tamborelli on the show. Little Pete from Pete and Pete on Nickelodeon. Danny Tamborelli was on the show. This is right before the first Skankfest I attended, which is Skankfest 2, if my timeline is right. But like I said, they did it at the Creek and Cave. Interesting note about the Creek and Cave. First of all, Donald Glover made his bones there. That's where he prepared for Weirdo, the special that he did. But it was an open mic that would have there was a mix of comics, because that's where like Nate Bargatze and Joe List and Normand and obviously these guys and Soder, like they would all hang out there back in the day. But they would also, like over time, had very woke liberal open micers, especially as it became much more common in the comedy scene in like 2015, 16, 17, that era. There was a guy in the Skanks audience wearing a Proud Boys hat. And that's all that preceded this, other than, you know, the Skanks being a white supremacy podcast, of course. But there's a guy with a Proud Boy hat in the audience, and then this happened.
When I moved here, this neighborhood was all blacks.
By the way, that's true for every neighborhood in New York City.
Before we move on from the white supremacy jokes,
Who the fuck are you?
Is it no coincidence that a Proud Boy is sitting here behind us?
Dude,
is that really not surprising?
Don't
What
take
are
my
you
fucking
doing?
mic. Don't fucking grab the microphone, you jerk. Hey, buddy, how about you suck my fucking dick? Grab my mic again. I'll put my foot up your ass.
I don't know how that guy didn't get dropped before he left the table.
Well, you hear Lewis even trying to restrain himself for the air, where he goes, "Hey, you jerk." So I think he was trying to really restrain himself. I don't know if that was out of this is a time where people were like afraid of getting canceled. I mean, he does call the guy a fag 30 seconds later, but
Yeah.
like there's some of that going on. There's also maybe paying respect to the club and not wanting to get into a fight inside, whatever. But no, you're right. It is like that's a crazy thing to do. Is take the microphone, and it's kind of a note for people. And I've fallen victim to this to a degree, where we kind of forget what like cancel culture or whatever term you want to label it was like at this time, where like there really was, it was the Wild West for people that didn't want you to make jokes they didn't like, where they felt totally comfortable just walking up to a guy, taking the microphone out of his hand and going, excuse me, there's a racist here.
Yeah,
What
this
the fuck are we
this
doing?
was also back when the Proud Boys were still just, I mean, I guess just after, but still kind of mostly.
They were just flourishing. They were really just.
It was just trying to get fucking rat laid.
Yeah, it was a little after that. It was a little after that.
But that's how it started.
Right.
Next, we have more on the Proud Boys.
Okay, yeah. So they come back. They take a break and they explain what just happened to the live audience.
It's been brought to our attention that there's a Proud Boy amongst us, and I won't stand for that. So get that racist BS out of here.
We're gonna have to find out ultimately. I have to find out more what that means exactly. The Proud Boy.
That's Gavin McGinnis fan.
No, I know, but I'm not sure what why his thing with that was. I don't know what the credo of the Proud Boys.
How would you listen to the first part of our podcast, which, from what I remember, was centered around child and hate speech the bear?
That's
we all
their thing?
sang in unison, and then he went, no, you guys don't understand. There's a Proud Boy amongst you.
Yeah.
We were going to be like, what?
They must be into some pretty dark shit, is what I'm saying. Yeah, it really took his attention. We'll find out about that soon. But we just, I'm sure most of you were anxiously sitting by your computers and phones, waiting
to see
come
what
back.
happened. Yeah.
And
so was I. I was sitting here by the microphone. I didn't move.
I just gave Lewis a 20-minute
Poor little Pete.
To stop what was going to get so bad.
It wasn't going to get bad for me, baby.
How do you make yourself so unlikable on the side of justice?
Yeah. So it's and Big Jay always makes this point that so many people have tried to label them a white supremacy podcast, and it's hosted by 2 Jews and a Puerto Rican.
That's right.
It really is interesting that yes, the 3 R's of the Legion of Skanks are rape, racism, and retardation. So it is purposely offensive, but it's like, to me, it's just quenching the thirst of comedy that isn't really around anymore. Like people that liked what Dave Attell and Doug Stanhope and Jim Norton and Nick DiPaolo and all those guys were doing in the early 2000s. A lot of like what Tough Crowd was, which people forget, Tough Crowd was on fucking TV, you know? Right. And what the Legion of Skanks did is like kind of take that to the internet, where you'd think you'd be able to get away with anything. And for the most part, they have, because they never really went out of their wheelhouse. Like Dave went down a political lane that would be the side that would support a lot of the stuff that Legion of Skanks stand. Like if Legion of Skanks got in trouble, Dave's fans wouldn't be the ones trying to cancel him, certainly.
Right.
And like Jay and Lewis never tried to get like mainstream gigs, you know, like what brought Shane Gillis off of SNL was the idea that he tried to work for a like a network. You know, he tried to get a network job, and a guy like Seth Simons tried to take Shane down because networks were scared at this time. It worked for a short time, and now Shane's hosting it instead.
Yes.
But with like Legion of Skanks, like Seth Simons did the same tactic that he used with Gillis and wrote an article about the Legion of Skanks. All that happened is Anthony Jeselnik retweeted him, and they had to deal with being called white supremacists a little louder than usual. But like it didn't cost them anything because they kind of just stayed in their wheelhouse now, you know, and for better or worse, I think they've never sold out, never stood for anything they don't believe in, never seemed phony.
But to play into their right-leaning tactics, we have Ari explaining the Milo booking.
Yeah, so this is where it started to get ugly, and the guys like Seth Simons might have thought they had a kill. So they booked Milo Yiannopoulos, a controversial figure at that time. If you're not familiar, he's basically just a provocateur. If you hate Milo Yiannopoulos, you're giving him exactly what he wanted. But he was controversial at this time. Legion of Skanks had him on, and this ended up happening at the Creek in the Cave, which was their home at the time.
Listen, so they booked Milo. They're like, "Oh, we have this guy who's been fucking whatever," and then everyone started doing the thing where they attack the venue. If you have that, you're the problem. Yeah. It's not enough that they can misanalyze the person or say, "I want nothing to do with that guy." Then if you put him up, then you're the issue. A woman who's gave birth to tons of fucking great LGBA and fucking black performers. She's an issue because she's not stopping a performance from happening. And then soon it'll be like, if you perform at that venue, then you're an asshole.
Right. No, it's nonsense.
And unfortunately, Rebecca Trent did panic. And I think she has since said she overreacted and she shouldn't have done that. But there was also a thing with Anthony Cumia where the Skanks had Anthony Cumia on, and Rebecca was getting a ton of shit. And they don't agree politically, and she got scared because people were threatening the venue, and so she said that they couldn't have Anthony Cumia on. And similar thing happened with Milo, and eventually the Skanks said "Hey, we're going to leave." I don't think it was long after that the Creek in the Cave in New York ended up closing. But she panicked, like a lot of people did at that time. The fact that she still runs Skankfest, to me, free pass. You fucked up, whatever, you've obviously, if you look at what Skankfest is now, I don't think she's had any impact on changing them at all. I think she kind of realized she fucked up with that. But it was unfortunate at that time. And that's what people were doing at that point in history. That's what I think a lot of people have forgotten is you had people scared who didn't even believe in your cause necessarily, or didn't give a fuck about it. But because they were panicked that you were going to try and shut down their business, it influenced how they ran their own business. And to me, that is wrong and something we should still point out happened in history. When Anthony Jeselnik and Mark Maron and people like that say "Oh, well, what really happened? Who was ever really canceled?" You kind of forget what they were doing to a lot of these venues and sponsors and all kinds of stuff that were going on at this time.
And Skankfest is a perfect segue to...
Yeah, well, speaking of venues fucking over the Legion of Skanks, that happened after this next moment. So we'll talk about Skankfest in a minute, but this is probably the iconic moment at Skankfest. Yeah. It's also a moment where the person that I was with said, "What do you say we head back to the hotel room for a bit? I'm a little tired." and I said, "All right, fine." And the moment we walked out the door, this happened.
Skankfest is a cool event, right? You never know what can happen. Crazy things happen. Here's one of those crazy things. Ladies and gentlemen, Louis C.K.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
See, just a really cool moment. If you're wondering why do you hear the TMZ noise there? It's because that was really Louis' first public appearance at all after he'd been canceled.
I think it was the first.
I think it was the first time anyone had seen him anywhere after he got canceled.
So that
action. that was a huge moment. And then the Brooklyn Bazaar, the venue that hosted Skankfest, people were like, "How could?" There were articles written, "How could they have Louis C.K. there, this monster?" And when someone called the venue said, "Oh man, the employees were running scared when Louis came out. We didn't want it. We didn't know it was going to happen. Just sold the Legion of Skanks threw him right under the bus." Unfortunately, yeah. But enough of that. Let's just talk about what Skankfest is. It started on the podcast. It started on Legion of Skanks, where they were talking about a news story where a comedy festival was booking people of all kinds, and they were paying Black, female, and LGBT comics. So if you were a white guy, you could be on the lineup, but you would not get paid. And so Legion of Skanks talked about that, and we're like, what if we only paid white guys? But like, what really ended up happening is, what if we had a diverse festival and just paid all the comics?
Yeah.
Because what was common at that time, and probably still is that these comedy festivals, you would have to pay to get on them. Like, I guess the idea being like, oh, I'm in front of this audience that is just there for the festival, so maybe I'll get some new eyeballs. I'm sorry, pay to get booked. You have to pay like for them to watch your submission tape, and the hope being like you're in front of this new audience if you get booked or whatever. So Legion of Skanks said like, hey, it's free to submit, and we will pay you. Even like for lesser comics, I'm sure it's a small amount, but like we will pay you to be on the lineup, and you can introduce yourself to an audience of rabid comedy fans, like true diehard comedy fans. And it became something I have now gone to every year since the second one. I went to, 1, 2, 3 in New York, 3 in Vegas, 1 in Houston. So this will be my 8th. Do I have that right? I think in New Orleans. That I'm going to in a couple weeks as we record this. And it really is like, I think the coolest for stand-up. I think it's like the coolest hang you could possibly be a part of. And for someone like me who's like weird, it reminds me a lot of the Minifan events that I've been to, where it's like whatever these people say online or whatever, like when you meet them, sweet as pie. And they want to talk to you about something you are also interested in. Like you have these common interests, and people will just come up to you and be like, hey, did you see Are You Garbage here? Or whatever. Like whatever the fuck the conversation is that day. And the other thing about Skankfest is like there's always something to talk about. Like, hey, Joe DeRosa jerked off a trans lady. You know? Wacky stuff like that.
Yeah.
There've also been great moments. I'm usually not, if it's a historic moment, I'm usually not in the room. I was also not there for the Tough Crowd reunion.
Oh God.
So I'm 0 for 2 in moments like that.
I have to start going with you, and we'll split up and we'll text each other.
Yes.
There's something massive's happening in another room.
Yeah. I will say, I guess the only downside of Skankfest is like it's a hard sell for people that don't know what it is. No, it's Skankfest. And it's like, oh, well, no, maybe I'm like, no, but it's cool. You'll have fun. I'm telling you.
It's comedy.
Yeah. But no, it really is like a great time and one of the most fun hangs in comedy for sure. And it's now become something that people talk about every year. And you have all these podcasts come out and talk about what happened that weekend. There's a buzz around it. And so it's become something that like people want to go and be a part of. And that's why you have guys like Gillis and Tim Dillon and these names that theoretically have outgrown that. Like I'm sure they don't pay them what they could make in a weekend for that. Like Bargatze was there last year, just stopped in, told he did Story Wars, did Ari Shaffir's storytelling show, told an amazing story, and then just left. And these guys just pop in because like they want it's a fun comedy hang, and all their friends are there. So Lewis has really, from what was a joke, has created. I think one of the best event, maybe the best event, particularly in stand-up that exists, but also like something I think that is important from the perspective of without an outlet like that, you know, Netflix is a joke festival, something like that kind of controls comedy, you know, like that type of thing controls comedy and can dictate what is popular, what you get to see, stuff like this. Because of Skankfest, you end up having people like Jordan Jensen. You know what I mean? I think without outlets like that, where she could have risen in popularity, I don't think you ever get a female like that on Netflix. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
You know, like I think they're able to. Joe List has said Louis J. Gomez is the most important person in comedy, and I think that's because you need someone on. If everyone is over here, you need someone over here tugging it the other way a little bit, so things don't get crazy. And that's why a guy like Patrice was so important. Patrice and Nick DiPaolo and that Comedy Cellar table was so important back in the day. And I think that's kind of what Skankfest represents now.
Boy, do we really wish Patrice was here to tell Bill Burr he's wearing a gay shirt right about now.
That'd be something. As it's become cliche to say, but it'd be interesting to hear what Bill Burr has, what Patrice O'Neill has to say. It'd be interesting to hear what Bill Burr has to say about the Riyadh thing, but whatever.
Wouldn't have gone if Patrice was here. He'd be too afraid to face him.
Yeah.
Next, we have Gun in the Butt.
This is another saga. So I did not include. We did an entire episode about Matt and Shane's the basketball game with Matt and Shane. One of the maybe I was gonna say one of the worst. Probably the worst moment for Big Jay. Definitely. It was tough. It was a tough look. But we did an entire episode about that. So go back in the archives and find that one. But the Gun in the Butt challenge is another saga that the Legion of Skanks went through. And it is centered around basketball, which is fascinating. But let's hear about it.
I never saw it going this bad for you, man. I was pretty sure you were going to lose like 7-8 to nothing. You didn't get one. Lewis actually beat you in the game.
You want to tell you why?
More hits on the rim.
Hard work beats talent any day.
Wow.
Hard work, baby. Hard work, right?
What did you do to prepare for that?
Hard work.
What did you do? What was the hard work you did?
I just out hustled Jay. It was as simple as that.
Oh.
All I had to do was that was the mountain that I had to climb was just out hustling Jay, and I knew as soon as we made that bet.
I'm rethinking everything now. Everything I previously believed.
Where did you? If you said you could beat him 4-0, you'd be wrong.
No, well, here's what happened. We ended up playing another game. This is the best part of all. Okay, so then Jay got he was like, yeah, whatever, dude. I give you this thing, and then, which by the way, I just beat him in that game. There's no measurable way that Jay he didn't beat me because he gave me an advantage. I just beat him.
I was talking to Eric Abrams about it because we wanted to be there, but we had to leave to go somewhere. And he goes, the funniest two things that would happen is if Jay lost 18-1 or 1-0.
Yeah, lost 2-0.
Lost 2-0. We didn't even consider that.
2-0. So then,
really rubbed it in.
Soda really believed in Jay, and he put it. We had another game, right? And he gave me even odds, $100. If Jay scored 10 points before I scored 5 points, then I would lose. So Jay had to score double the points.
Guns in the butts?
No gun in the butt. This was for money, $100.
Oh.
So then me and Jay played, and I just beat Jay in that second game 5-4. I just straight up beat him. I'm better at basketball than Big Jay.
For some reason, Jay I forget if it was 18 or 21, but Jay said, play me to 18 or 21. I will win before you score a point. And that was the bet. And it just didn't happen. Lewis dominated him. And then again, like you said, just straight up beat him 5-4. Jay's Achilles heel for some reason is basketball. He thinks he's very good. And maybe he is. Maybe he wilts when the cameras are on. But every challenge he's made, basketball related, has been tough.
He's probably good in 5-on-5 where you can post up,
or against open micers that want to open for him on the road.
That too.
I don't know if he's playing Dylan or who he's playing, but yeah, Jay, world-class comedian. Enough with the basketball. Just stop it.
Next we have Martin Shkreli.
Yeah, so they would get interesting guests like this too. I mentioned Milo Yiannopoulos. They would have weird guests that you would not expect to see in a comedy setting. And the booking of Shane Gillis and Martin Shkreli to me was perfect.
Still fucking expensive as fuck, your shit.
No, it's gotten generic. So there's generics now, to my chagrin. And
did you
still own it? It's a long story.
Friend of the program.
Wait,
to your chagrin?
I want people to get medicine.
I want people to get medicine. You're confused.
He's telling you. But he sounds like I'm confused. But you did go to jail, so I think me and the judge are on the same page.
I think the people who end up being federal judges and federal prosecutors were the people who were hall monitors in high school. And
yeah, but the people who raise the price of AIDS medication are fucking dorks, dude. Sucks.
I don't think so. I mean, I know you don't want to get canceled again, but the I think that
I don't know if she's gonna get canceled for sticking up for
That'd be the ultimate cancellation.
Well, no,
He thinks I'm playing.
We can have this debate
He thinks
some
deep
other
down,
time.
I really am like,
He hates
yo, that
people
was
with
cool.
AIDS.
So, for some reason, Martin Shkreli played this angle of like, oh, Shane thinks I'm really cool. Like, he knows that it was cool that I jacked up the price of AIDS medicine, but like he can't admit it because of showbiz, you know? Like, he's Hollywood now. That's the type of shit they would do, is have great pairings like that. And sometimes it backfires. Like me personally, I'm not a fan of like when they have wrestlers on or whatever, but I'm sure a segment of the audience is. Like I never get into the game of like, how could you book this person that I'm not interested in? Because it's like, well, there's probably someone that is, you know.
I appreciated New Jack.
Yeah, they had one on recently. Fuck, I'm forgetting his name. He died like the day after he was on the podcast.
Wrestler that died. How recently?
He was from ECW, like a few months ago.
New Jack.
No, that's not who I'm thinking of. The people, you know, folks.
Oh, Sabu.
Sabu. Yep,
yeah.
That's exactly who it was.
Yeah.
He died like minutes after. It was like the ending of Walk Hard, where it's like Sabu died immediately after this podcast was
I
recorded.
remember I saw Sabu died, and I was like, "Damn, that sucks." Because I used to watch him when I was young, all the time. And then, like a few minutes later, I got an Apple notification that Legion of Skanks had Sabu on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, like they take risks with guests, and a lot of times it pays off because they pair them with interesting people.
Next, we have the election, which was one of the funnest stretches of this show's history.
I think a lot of people would say the best, and it would be hard to argue. It was really fun, and in large part, I believe, because of the man that injected himself into the race in this clip. So Lewis said, "Hey, like we need a leader," you know. And he did it in a way. Oh well, you know what? Play the clip.
A lot of people I know found out about this podcast through my virtual endorsement, as it were. It's tough because I can see each of you really tackling this job well, but more likely I can see each of you fucking it up. You're not qualified to be parents, and yet you are. Guys, this is gonna be hard for me, but I gotta be honest. You're all trash. I'd like to throw my name in for the presidential candidates of Legion of Skanks. I, Ari Shaffir, am now running for the president of Legion of Skanks. What?
Oh!
What?
Merch?
Are you kidding me?
There's merch.
How did you have that prepared?
You had merch?
Quickly got it going. In the middle of this, I realized
This would make me think that you.
I love how Ari could fit it over his nose.
It was at a perfect time too, because this was during the pandemic. Like you'll notice, a lot of these episodes were done outside because it had to be open air. So it was at a time where people were looking for content. It was also the 2020 election happening, so it coincided with that, and they played it perfectly. Where like they took the bit seriously, but not too seriously, and they had fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it really was cool, and I think Ari being part of it was hugely important. Like Ari really made it something. He's a showman, you know. Like he does like with Skankfest. There were a few years where Lewis would make a big deal of the lineup coming out. He's like, "Hey, you know, April 20th, we're announcing the lineup, whatever." And for about a month before that, every day, Ari Shaffir would release a name of who was on the line. He'd be like, "Hey, Michael Che is going to be at Skankfest this year." So, and Lewis would be like, "Who's telling you this? Why are they doing that?" I think if you use promo code Ari, you get an extra percentage off a month. So,
yeah,
Ari's a massive part of this show. So it was very fitting that he entered the presidential race.
And possibly the best part of the presidential race. Well, second best. The best parts after this. Is the lie detector.
Yeah. So the lie detector after this became a huge part of Legion of Skanks. Like it's a great bit because it seems accurate to the point where even when you can tell the person is not sure, it comes back undetermined. So it has been a fun bit that they've done over the years. And one of the first times they used it was to ask Ari Shaffir questions like this.
Ari Shaffir.
Yes.
Do you respect Brendan Schaub as a comedian?
Shit. Yes. I mean, there's no way.
Choo.
Hey, Ari, this isn't one of the lie detector test questions, but let me just ask you something. Do you respect David Tell as a comedian?
Yes.
See how it sounds when you tell the truth? See, you didn't have that pained look on your face.
Ari the person does not enjoy this, but
He's a nice guy.
Ari the comedian
He's a nice guy
right now.
Oh, you want me to ask that one? Okay.
He does better than most retired fighters.
And this is before everyone. I hate to say this because we still do it, but before it became kind of hack to make fun of Brendan Schaub, you know, like
he's really gonna step in it though if we talk about him now.
True, I have a plan for this weekend in the Blind Mike Project, but you are right.
He stepped in it.
You can tell. Yeah, but this is like kind of before like everyone before the joke was over on Brendan Schaub, so it was a great moment to have that.
Now the peak of the presidential campaign.
Yeah, the peak was not really the election. Everyone kind of knew Ari was going to win eventually. Like that was an afterthought. On the night that it was determined, famously, Ari Shaffir dosed Bert Kreischer. This was a huge deal. A big feud falling out, mostly between Ari and Leanne Kreischer, and they had a trial on Legion of Skanks over this. It was a big deal. So then, the night of the presidential election, Lewis doses Ari Shaffir. And they're like, oh, fuck, we got Ari back. This one's for you, machine. And then this is how it plays out.
Hey, you think this pussy stands for mayhem? We stand for mayhem.
Oh, Lewis.
Oh, you fool.
Wait, you think I didn't take my beer and give it to Jay?
No.
No, there's no way. Oh, really? Because I sound like I'm fine right now.
Yes! Dude, can I tell you
Nah, he's
something?
faking it.
I thought there was something weird in my
Do I
beer.
sound weird? Do I
No.
look? Do I not know what it looks like?
Wow.
I look like I'm on acid. You fucking dork! I stand for mayhem. You don't stand for mayhem.
Holy shit,
You're
dude!
fucking right,
I've
bitch.
never taken acid in my life. Louis! Did this happen, dude? No, that's actually real?
Yeah.
Get
That's
the way.
real.
I swear to God.
Send the Tony Award over to Ari. That was amazing.
Blame Lewis.
What an amazing performance.
That thing's gone, dude. I was watching it. The tab was floating. You gobbled that thing up, dude. That thing's in you.
What?
Ari,
Yeah,
you were
Jay.
acting this whole time? That was phenomenal.
That was awesome.
Dude, I told
Awesome.
How have you never been cast on anything
You.
huge?
Oh my God.
Guys, I've never taken acid. Why?
Losing every time.
What did I do? I've never been to Pedophile Island. Why is this all happening to me? What did I do?
Poor Jay. The best part about that is Jay had nothing to do with it. Like you would think retribution would be, hey, Lewis tried to dose me. I'm going to switch it with his beer. But Jay's was just the easiest. So they fucked over Jay, who had never done that drug before, which is very funny.
Yeah, and Shane had something to do with it.
Oh, you fool. Well, Shane just knew it was happening and didn't say anything. So they had the trial for Ari Shaffir. They spun the wheel of consequences. They did try a bit that didn't really work. I think it worked in the room, but people watching were kind of just like, what the fuck? Because they didn't end the stream in time. Ari Shaffir spun the wheel of consequences to see what his punishment would be for dosing Big Jay. And then Ari planned that like fireworks went off in the background that sounded like gunshots, and he was going to fake his own death. A difficult task to pull off at a live event.
Yes.
Particularly because people can see him leave. But so it was tough to pull off. That part didn't really work, and they never really resolved it. Ari really never served his penance for that crime. But Ari is a huge part of Legion of Skanks. He also gave Jay's birthday present was Ari Shaffir shit in an airtight box. Gave it to him as a gift. There's a lot of wacky hijinks that are centered around Ari Shaffir. He truly embodied the president of the Legion of Skanks. He did stand for mayhem, in fact.
Yes, he did.
And that's where that clip comes from in the intro we don't play anymore.
I played it the other day, actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, like a week.
Oh, good. Yeah, so that's that's in one of the intros.
I switched it up because I was like, let's see how important this is, and no one noticed.
Good. Well, guys, notice more. Leave a comment because it makes Craig feel better.
We're down to our last two.
Oh my goodness.
Which is essentially one, but
okay. Oh yes, I figured it'd be appropriate to end with Dan Soder, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, this happened the same day that I got interviewed by NBC News. So
oh really?
Got no play.
Oh, that's too bad. Craig was overshadowed.
I was. I put out a fake tweet that I got fired from Twitter, and someone with like multiple Emmys reached out to interview me, and I had Box Eating Dad pretend to be me.
Oh man, I don't even remember this.
It was a while ago. Yeah,
probably because I was busy watching what unfolded on Legion of Skanks.
That's right.
So, guys, go back into the Very Good Show archives and give Craig proper credit for that.
Yeah.
But Dan Soder, another integral part of Legion of Skanks. I think like Skanks Hall of Famers, you'd have to put Ari Shaffir, Shane Gillis, Dan Soder, Joe DeRosa, Zach Amico. Like these are kind of the fabric of the show as guests. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot in it. Like I would even put like Kim Congdon on that list and people like that. Colin Terrell. But like the fabric of the early days of that show, Ari, Shane, Soder in particular were a big part. And they were. I remember they gave Jay a lot of shit at the time. I don't know how real any of it was. But like Soder was the most beloved guest on the podcast and like really gelled with them very well and had good chemistry. And then Jay was like, what do you say you and I start the bonfire? And then it doesn't make any sense to have you on as a guest as regularly. So they went off and did the bonfire. But this is a Hall of Fame Dan Soder moment on the Legion of Skanks. So Lewis did an interview with the Fox News. They were doing making some kind of documentary about like sort of the state of comedy and how cancel culture played a role and all that. So during that interview, Lewis goes, do you know Dave Smith? Like Dave Smith would be perfect for this. And the girl goes, oh yeah, okay, interesting. I guess at some point she also mentioned that she was trying to get Dave Chappelle. So through a comedy of errors, there was a miscommunication between two guys named Dave. So this is the email that Dave Smith received.
Okay. So she goes, hey, Dave, Louis J. Gomez gave me your number. My name is so-and-so. I'm filming a documentary series at Fox about how there's never been a better time for comedy despite hyper-politicized woke culture.
She thinks you have Chappelle's number.
No, we interviewed Lewis at Gas Digital, and his insight into what's going on was incredible. Despite network attempts to censor material, fans still want comedy, blah, 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 blah. The fans will follow the comedians and the message. She said, your position in the comedy world is so giant and your talent undeniable. And this is what she said to me. And I'm immediately reading this, and I go like, got a point. All right.
She's on her homework.
Okay. This chick knows what's up. Now, this is where it started to get a little weird. Your position in the comedy world is so giant and your talent undeniable. And despite any backlash, you continue to hit back harder each time and deliver even funnier and edgier material, which directly combats any threat to censorship. You are truly proof of this entire premise.
Shout out to Libertas, Dave's first special.
Yeah.
So this woman texted Lewis and just said, do you know Dave? Because I guess somewhere along they mentioned Chappelle, but like I said, Lewis mentioned Dave Smith. So naturally he was like, do I know Dave? He goes, he is a brother to me. So Tim Butterly, shout out to Tim Butterly for the assist on this. Tim Butterly said, why don't we have Soder call this lady as Dave Chappelle? Like he does a spot on Chappelle. And so they call Soder and they go, listen, we're going to attach you to this girl. We're going to like merge the calls and we're going to mute us so they can't hear the audience or anything. You're going to talk to her and do not, no matter how she tries to change the conversation, just praise Louis J. Gomez. And that is the call we're hearing that this Fox News reporter thinks she's having with Dave Chappelle.
I wanted to get in quick and talk to you about Louis J. Gomez. Easily one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. Yes. I mean, that man is very important to me. He's like a brother. Yes. I've been with him through thick and thin. We have established a connection that is a bond that is unbreakable. Yes. I would honestly say I'd take a bullet for Louis J.
I met him at Gas Digital, and he was so influential.
Gas Digital is crazy how hard I've seen him work on it and how incredible. The one problem is the website. Louis, you gotta fix the website.
Yeah, I know. I've been on the site. I was obviously doing research prior to it. I mean, it's good. I mean, he's just like incredible. I didn't even know much about him until I started working on this, and I was looking.
I'm going to tell you right now, I have seen a lot of this stuff in comedy, and Louis is easily. A lot of people call him a Puerto Rican rattlesnake. I would say he is a Puerto Rican giant. He's a giant man. I've seen him bed hundreds of women. I've seen him throw on comedy festivals that are so legendary that people got diseases. This man has done more for comedy than anybody in the world. And his son James, if he doesn't eat, Louis will rip someone's head off.
Oh, I love that.
The idea that Dave Chappelle's in an interview criticizing the Gas Digital website.
That's so funny.
It's so perfect to me. I guess that's worth noting, too. The famous line from Shane Gillis, Gas Digital Network, more like Gas Digital Not Work, is a lot of people would criticize the website. So great instinct by Soder to include that in the interview.
It's too good.
But I highly recommend, if you've never seen that, I highly recommend all these clips. Check them all out. They're all on YouTube. So, like I said, either it's a fun walk down memory lane if you're already a Skanks fan, and I'm sure 10 of your favorites I didn't include. Believe me, I know. And if you leave them in the comments, we'll do a part 2 at some point. I know I always say that. I've said it about Come Town too, but we will eventually. We just did part 2 of Andrew Dice Clay's The Day the Laughter Died 4 years after we did the first one. So give it some time, and eventually we always get there, you know?
It takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, give us 4 years, and we'll get around to it.
Yeah.
But no, leave your favorite moments. Anything we missed, feel free to leave it in the comments, because I would like to do a part 2 eventually, and I'll go back and look at these for some suggestions. So we barely scratched the surface on the real history, but I do think Legion of Skanks are a very important. They're fun guys to make fun of, like, because there is a shock jock, edgelord element to what they do. So like it's easy to make fun of and stuff like that. But I do think it's a very important representation in comedy, and I very much appreciate what they do. And I'm glad I've been a fan of theirs for a decade now. So. Thank you, Legion of Skanks, for the last 10 years of entertainment. And here's to 10 more. What do you say? Dave will be long gone by then. But the other 2. Story Wars also, by the way, I should mention, Story Wars, a new hit podcast birthed from Legion of Skanks. It was just a game they played on a couple of episodes once, or a couple episodes a couple different times. And it became a new hit podcast that I also very much enjoy. So shout out to them. Go to blindmike.net. That's where you can support this program. It's where you get early access and bonus episodes. We appreciate you guys supporting the show. If you like, comment, subscribe. It helps more people find us. If you become a member, like I said, you get to check stuff out early, like that Brian Callen watch along we're doing and all kinds of other stuff. So check us out, become a member, or just support the show for free wherever you get podcasts. Thank you guys. And we will talk to you next time on Why Are You Laughing?
Zip it up and zip it out.